everyone, in this video I'm going to be giving you my tips and advice for the recommendations of the NSLI application. Just for some background, my name is Jasuna and I studied abroad for a year in Taiwan through the NSLI Mandarin program. Recommendations are a crucial part of the application because it allows NSLI to see who you are and analyze you as a candidate from another perspective. You're going to want to get a strong recommendation, so keep in mind these tips to get the best recommendation possible. Before I give you my tips and advice, I'm going to read you what NSLI says on the actual application about your recommenders. They say, the recommendation should be completed by an adult not related to you and with whom you have engaged in the past 2 years and who knows you well. The individual can be a teacher, school counselor, school administrator, coach, youth organization leader or coordinator, employer, etc. For NSLI, it is not required to have a language teacher to complete the recommendation. Ask an adult who can best address your personal attributes, maturity, communication abilities, skills, and relationships with peers and teachers, supervisors, organizational leaders. Unless you are currently in the 9th grade, we strongly suggest that you avoid asking middle school teachers to complete this recommendation form. The letter of recommendation must be in English, and it is not appropriate for local or federal elected officials to complete the recommendation unless this individual served as an employer or knows you in a personal capacity. The position or status of the recommender is not considered. You don't submit the recommendation yourself, you actually input the recommender's information and NSLI will send the recommender an email. Alright, first and foremost, you're going to want to pick a person who can write a really good recommendation for you and knows you on a personal level. You should pick someone who has known you for at least a year. And since this application is so early in the year, you shouldn't pick a teacher that you just started classes with this year unless you formed a really tight bond with them in 1 to 2 months. Now, this mentor or teacher should definitely be able to speak to your ability to learn a new language, immerse yourself in a new culture, and adapt to a new community. I would suggest making a list of people that could possibly write your recommendation. And ask yourself, how long have I known this person? How well do I know them? How well do they know me? How much do they like me? How much have they seen me grow? And use the answers to these questions to compare all the different people on your list and pick who would be the best one. For me personally, I asked my language teacher for a recommendation, and that was just simply because she knew me the best. And although it does help to have a language teacher write your recommendation, if they don't know you well and you have another teacher or mentor in your life who could write a much stronger recommendation, I would definitely suggest that over a language teacher. And you're going to want to start this process of choosing your recommender early because you're going to want to ask them for the recommendation early. You're going to want to show that you're responsible and that you can give them enough time to write a really heartfelt recommendation. Give them at least 2 to 3 weeks before the due date, which in the 2023 application is November 9th, but it's better to give them a full 4 weeks or a full month. And 4 weeks before November 9th is October 12th. So you should be asking for your recommendations around October 12th. When you ask for these recommendations, you're going to want to start by describing what NSLI even is. Because if you're a freshman and asking for a letter of recommendation, they might be a little bit confused. Explain that it's a prestigious scholarship to study abroad in a foreign country and learn the language and learn about the history and culture. And you want to talk about your reasons for applying for NSLI and why you're so enthusiastic about learning this language and immersing yourself in the culture. You can give them concrete goals that you have too, what fluency level you want to become after the program, what your educational and career goals are if you already have that figured out. You could say you want to study international relations in college and then work as a global ambassador, and you can talk about how NSLI is the perfect step for that. Now, you're also going to want to tell them that NSLI looks for specific traits in students like responsibility, adaptability, open-mindedness, the ability to problem solve, independence, etc. They should try to convey that you are this kind of person in the recommendation. And you should encourage your recommender to show, not tell. They should try to say specific anecdotes about the student that show that they have these traits. You're also going to want to provide relevant information about you if they don't already have it, like your extracurricular activity history, or what kind of awards and special recognition you have received, or any experience that you have in learning that language, culture, or history. Once you've asked them and they've hopefully agreed, you're going to want to almost immediately go into the NSLI application and put in their information so they get the email and they can get started right away. And then when it gets closer to the deadline, you want to gently follow up and remind them about it so they don't completely forget, but don't be overbearing and annoying. And every time you follow up, you want to thank them a lot. And before the due date, you're going to want to make sure that they submitted it. Because ultimately, it is your responsibility to make sure that they actually get the recommendation in. If the recommendation doesn't get submitted, that's on you. Alright, so those are all my tips for getting the perfect recommendation for the NSLI application. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. And if you want the written version of this, and also a lot of other great NSLI resources, check out the link in my description below. Thank you so much for watching, and best of luck with your NSLI application.